Tonight, let's drift away into a quieter, colder, slightly itchier world. It's the year 1283, and you are not a knight, not a noble. You're just you, a humble apprentice, in a thatched roof cottage, in a village nobody can find on a map. It's not quite morning yet, but the rooster thinks otherwise. You stir. Something itches behind your knee. Probably another flea. Or two. Your bed is a sack of straw, pressed flat by months of restless sleep. It rustles like dry leaves, and smells faintly of goats, wood smoke. And something you hope isn't mold. You blink into the gray half-light. Sunlight hasn't arrived yet, but the cold definitely has. Somewhere nearby someone coughs. Could be your older brother. Or your neighbor. Or the pig. At this hour, it's hard to say. Your tunic is scratchy, damp. And exactly what you wore yesterday. And the day before that. You hear the clang of church bells in the distance. The medieval version of an alarm clock, except louder and more judgmental. You take a breath. The air is crisp, but not fresh. More like a gentle blend of wet hay, fire smoke, and old stew. It's time to rise. Your day is about to begin, and it's not going to get warmer, or cleaner, or quieter. Welcome to morning in medieval Europe. You're alive. And that is already better than most. You sit up. Slowly. Because if you move too fast, your back might sound like a bundle of twigs snapping. The roof above you is made of thatch. And this morning, it's leaking. A soft drip, 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 lands on the edge of your straw bed. You swing your feet to the floor. It's cold. Not refreshing cold. Just mean. The ground is packed dirt. Slightly damp from last night's rain. And possibly also from something the family goat did. You reach for your shoes. Or rather, your shoe. Singular. It's made of thin leather. Stretched and restitched so many times, it now resembles a sad puppet missing its strings. The other one, no idea. Maybe the dog took it. Maybe your cousin used it to scoop soup. Maybe it never existed. You don't ask questions like that in the 13th century. You shuffle toward the door, rubbing the sleep from your eyes. The room is shared with 5 other people. Your siblings, your aunt, one person who may or may not be related to you, and everyone is already moving, stretching, yawning, trying not to make eye contact. Privacy, that's a myth. You open the door, and the morning greets you with a gust of wind. That feels like it traveled straight from the Arctic. Outside, the village is waking up. Roosters crow. Sheep bleat. Someone's already shouting about stolen turnips. You take a deep breath. Another day begins. Nature calls. But in medieval Europe, nature never calls politely. There's no bathroom, no toilet, no door, just a wooden bucket. Behind the cottage, if you're lucky, is already full. Someone, possibly Uncle Willem, had a rough night after eating turnips that may or may not have been fresh. The smell? Bold, biblical. The kind of odor that makes your eyebrows retreat for safety. You hold your breath, do what needs to be done, and then toss the contents into the street. That's right. The street is the sewer. You're supposed to shout something like, "Garde-à-l'eau," before emptying the bucket. It's Old French for watch out below. But really, no one ever moves in time. The village lane is a murky river of mud, manure, mystery puddles, and the occasional floating shoe. Public latrines? Only in the big cities. If you're lucky enough to sit shoulder to shoulder with 5 other strangers in a wooden shack with no door. Congratulations, you've made it. Toilet paper? Never heard of it. Most people wipe with straw. Or rags. Or nothing at all. Which might explain why no one shakes hands yet. If you live in a castle, things are slightly better. You might have a garderobe, a hole in the wall that drops your business straight into the moat. Great idea, until the enemy climbs in the same way. And if you're wondering, why clothes were often hung beside the garderobe, it's not just bad design. People believed the strong smell would chase away lice that lived in the seams of their tunics. So yes, the medieval closet was also your pest control system. Fashion and function, just not in the way you'd hope. So, to sum up, doing your business in the Middle Ages is a test of strength, smell, and spiritual endurance. And it's not even breakfast yet. You survived the toilet. Congratulations. Time for breakfast. Don't expect pancakes, or coffee, or really anything comforting. This is the Middle Ages. Breakfast, if you can call it that, is a grayish lump of something. It's called pottage, a thick stew of grains, turnips, old cabbage, and hope. It's been simmering for days, possibly weeks. New ingredients are just dumped in. Nothing is thrown out. It's less of a recipe and more of an evolving swamp in a pot. On the side, you get a piece of bread, not the fluffy kind. This bread could win a duel. It's made from coarse rye barley, or whatever was left in the mill. Sometimes they mix in sawdust or ground acorns to stretch the flour. The result? A loaf so dense it could stop arrows. You don't slice this bread. You negotiate with it. What about fruit? Maybe a plum? Only if it's the right season and hasn't already fermented into questionable wine. And drinks? Not water. Water is a gamble. A single sip might send you straight to medieval heaven. So you drink ale. Yes, ale. At 6 in the morning. This week, cloudy and warm. But at least it's boiled. Even children drink it. You might think you're dreaming. But no. This is your breakfast. Thick stew, brick bread, morning beer, and then it's off to work. With your stomach almost full, and your spirit slightly broken. But don't worry. The hardest part of the day is still waiting outside your door. You step outside. The sun isn't even fully up, but your day has definitely begun. There's no coffee, no snooze button, just a shovel, a stiff back, and a lord you've never met. You are a peasant, which means your full-time job is surviving while working someone else's land. You labor from sunup to sundown, 6 days a week. You get Sundays off if there's no plague, war, or harvesting emergency. You plow fields with a wooden hoe. If you're lucky, maybe an ox. You sow seeds, pull weeds, haul water, and pray the rains come. But not all at once. Your tools? Splinters on a stick. Your boots? Your feet? Your gloves? Calluses. No one checks on your mental health. Your physical health is still breathing. Break a bone? Tie it to a stick and keep going. Cut your hand? Wrap it in a rag that used to be a curtain. Or was it someone's shirt? No one remembers. You're not alone out here. Your spouse is working. Your children aged 5 and up are working too. No toys, just a tiny rake. And the hope they make it to next winter. And lunch? Maybe some pottage. If you remember to bring a chunk. Or whatever you can sneak from the field. Assuming it doesn't belong to the Lord. Because stealing food, even a turnip, could get you fined. Or worse. And if you're a woman, your job doesn't end in the fields. You also clean, cook, sew, nurse, carry, tend, patch, milk, stir, rock, and repeat. You're exhausted. Everyone is. But exhaustion isn't an excuse. It's just your new baseline. Because in the Middle Ages, work isn't something you do. It's something you survive. Now your back is sore. Your fingers ache. And you're covered in mud, sweat, and probably something from a goat. But guess what? The real enemy hasn't even shown up yet. It's the weather. Because in the Middle Ages, the weather isn't a conversation starter. It's a life or death situation. Let's begin with winter. There's no insulation. No central heating. No glass windows. Just wooden walls with holes wide enough for a bird to fly through. Your roof, thatched straw, leaky, moldy, sometimes frozen stiff. You sleep under a damp wool blanket, wrapped around your only outfit, huddled close to your family, and occasionally a chicken. You wake up with ice on your eyelashes, your toes numb, your fingers stiff, your breath visible in the air. And firewood? That's a luxury. Gathering sticks from the forest could get you fined, or worse, executed. Because the woods? They belong to the Lord, just like your land, your labor, and possibly your soul. Now skip ahead to summer. Sounds better? It isn't. Your home turns into a wooden oven. No fan, no breeze, no deodorant. You sweat through layers of itchy wool, because showing skin is scandalous and dangerous. You're still working in the fields, but now your sweat becomes a buffet for flies, mosquitoes, and other airborne insults. Sunburn? Absolutely. Heatstroke? Just called a bad turn. You have no choice. You still have to work, still have to haul water, carry loads, dig, plant, bend, and repeat. And remember, this is the same tunic you wore all winter. Now it's soaked in sweat and stiff with old smoke. At night, it doesn't cool down much. You lie on straw, stick to your blanket, and pray for a breeze that never comes. Because in the Middle Ages, the weather doesn't serve you. It tests you, breaks you, and then shows up again tomorrow. Feeling thirsty? Need to freshen up? Want to splash a little water on your face to wake up from this damp fever dream of a life? Too bad. In medieval times, water isn't your friend. It's trying to quietly murder you. Let's start with drinking. The nearby stream looks fresh, bubbling, and clear, like something out of a fairy tale. But upstream, someone just dumped a chamber pot into it. Or maybe a dead pig is floating by. Parasites, bacteria, and every microbe in medieval Europe are waiting in every sip. That's why you drink beer. Yes, even children. It's called small beer, low in alcohol, boiled during brewing, and slightly less deadly than the water. Wine is an option if you're rich, or if you enjoy being drunk before breakfast. Now, what about bathing? Surely water helps with that? In theory, yes. In practice, not really. See, back then, people believed bathing opened your pores and let in disease. That's right. Washing was considered a medical risk. You were healthier, they thought, if you just stayed dirty. Bathhouses did exist, but they quickly got a reputation for scandal. So the church shut many of them down. Even if you wanted to bathe, it was a full production. You had to fetch water from the well, heat it over a fire, pour it into a leaking wooden tub, and hope no one else used it first. Or worse after you. Rain barrels? Full of bird droppings, dead bugs, and green slime. Still sound refreshing? Whether it's going in your mouth, on your body, or into your soup. Water, in the Middle Ages, is a gamble. One wrong sip, and you'll spend your final hours in a straw bed, clutching your stomach, and whispering goodbye to your goat. So, you drank the water, or maybe you just stubbed your toe on a rock-shaped lick. Either way, you're sick. You need help. You need a doctor. Too bad. You live in the Middle Ages. And medicine? It's really just polite torture, with a theology degree. Let's start with the diagnosis. Every illness, from coughs to broken bones to the actual plague, was blamed on you. No, not your mood. Your bodily fluids. According to medieval science, your body is made of 4 things: blood, phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile. If you're sick, they said it's because one of them is out of balance. So, what's the solution? Let's bleed you. Yup. Cut your arm open. Let some blood flow into a bowl. Or slap on a few hungry leeches. And see what happens. Feeling sad or anxious? Clearly you've got too much black bile. Time for a purge. A warm laxative. Maybe some herbs. Maybe just prayers and regret. Break a bone? No anesthesia. No clean tools. Just bite something, scream if you want, and hope the bone setter isn't cross-eyed. Surgery? Done with knives they've used since the last crusade. Sterilized? Absolutely not. You're more likely to die from the cure than from the disease. Infected wound? Here's a hot iron rod. We'll just press and pray. Toothache? Let's yank it out. Right here. With pliers. No warning. Oh, and the person doing it? Probably your barber. Yes. The same man who trims your bangs is now digging into your gums. By candlelight. No gloves. No training. But a really nice mustache. Even if you survive the treatment, it doesn't mean you're safe. You could develop a fever, slip into delirium, and the next thing you know, a priest is leaning over you to deliver last rites. Because in the Middle Ages, medicine wasn't about healing. It was about surviving whatever the healer tried on you. After a long day of labor, lice, and maybe a leech or two, you shuffle back to your hovel. Your stomach growls. Hope flickers. Time for dinner. Surely, this will be the bright spot of your day. It won't. Your meal is not comforting. It's not warm. It's not even safe. Let's begin with the basics. There is no fridge, no freezer, no expiration date, just salt, smoke, and the vague hope that winter air keeps things edible. If you're lucky enough to have meat. And that's a big if. It's been hanging for days, covered in flies. Maybe nibbled by something else first. Bread is your main food. But even that? Not reliable. In bad harvest years, peasants stretch flour. With bark, sawdust, even clay. Yes, clay. Some loaves contain ergot, a toxic fungus that can cause seizures, hallucinations, and death. Imagine, your bread doubles as a medieval acid trip, and then it kills you. Vegetables? Only in season. Usually turnips. Boiled, mashed, then boiled again, just to make sure they're flavorless. Fruit? Only in fall if it hasn't fermented into vinegar. Dairy? Risky. Milk spoils in hours. Butter and cheese last longer, but they're bacterial time bombs. Still, you eat them, because honestly, you don't have a choice. Let's talk spices. Pepper? Costs more than your monthly wages. Cinnamon? Forget it. Your seasoning options are onions, smoke, and sadness. And don't even think about poaching a rabbit. Wild animals belong to the Lord. Caught stealing game? Fines. Beatings. Or worse. Yes, your dinner could literally get you executed. So you sit down by the fire. Scoop another bowl of gray pottage. Stare at it. Sniff it. Try not to cry. This isn't a meal. It's a test. And you pass. By surviving. It's evening now. You've worked, suffered, and barely digested your suspicious stew. You might think the day is winding down, but don't get too relaxed, because God is watching. So is the priest. And so is your neighbor Agnes, who will absolutely snitch if you miss evening mass. In the Middle Ages, religion isn't just part of life. It is life. The church controls everything. Your time, your education, your morals, your birth, your death, and everything in between. Forget alarm clocks. Your day is structured around bells. The church bell rings at sunrise, at noon, at sunset, all reminding you, pray now or go to hell. Every sin counts. Forget to bow, sin. Eat meat on a Friday, sin. Daydream about the neighbor's wife during chores, big sin. And hell? Oh, it's vivid. Priests describe it in great detail. Rivers of fire, demons with pitchforks, eternal screaming, and just enough guilt to ruin your sleep. Can't read the Bible? Too bad. It's written in Latin. Only priests and monks can read it. You rely on the church to tell you what's true, what's holy, what's sinful, and what's going to land you in eternal torment. Feeling guilty? Great, that means it's working. And if you have nothing to offer the church, no wheat, no chickens, no coin, you're not just poor, you're spiritually bankrupt. Question the church? Don't. Heresy means flames. Literally. So you do what everyone does. You kneel. You chant. You try to stay awake during sermons, delivered in a language you don't understand, while silently praying that your soul, just maybe, might survive this life, and whatever comes after. So you pray, you confess, you try to be good. But if you're a woman, being good is never quite enough, because in the Middle Ages, being female means playing life on hard mode. Every burden just got heavier. Your chores? Double. Your freedom? Half. From the moment you're born, your path is already drawn. Marry young. Bear children. Serve your husband. Die tired. Education? Not likely. Unless you're rich. And even then, maybe only until age 12. By 14? You're married. By 15? Pregnant. Love has very little to do with it. Marriage is about land, livestock, and keeping your father's business arrangements intact. Once married, you belong to your husband legally, socially, and spiritually. Your job? Everything. You birth babies, feed everyone, make clothes, tend fires, tend animals, tend wounds, and still help in the fields. And if you speak up, too loud, too often, well, someone might call you a witch. And in this world, that's not a metaphor, because being unmarried, outspoken, educated, or just plain unlucky is often enough to get you accused. Witchcraft comes with perks like public trial, cold water tests, and sometimes a bonfire with your name on it. Even in the church, you're second tier. Nuns live under strict silence. They write little, lead less, and always rank below men. So yes, if you're a woman in medieval Europe, you don't just survive the day. You survive expectations, silence, childbirth, suspicion, and everything in between. And you do it, while smiling politely, because that's what good women do. So, you made it. You survived another day in the Middle Ages. Congratulations. You woke up on a lumpy straw mattress, shared your bathroom with chickens, worked yourself into exhaustion, and dodged a possible execution. All before dinner. You endured cold, filth, hunger, public judgment, toothaches, and social rules that barely make sense. And yet, people lived like this, not just for a year, but for centuries. And somehow, they still laughed. They still sang songs. They fell in love. They told stories by candlelight and hoped for better seasons ahead. Because even in the darkest centuries, people found sparks of warmth. So tonight, as you lie in a soft bed, under clean sheets, with toothpaste, toilet paper, and the magical gift of indoor plumbing, maybe take a moment to appreciate how far we've come. How lucky we are to fall asleep in a world with pillows. And if you're listening to this in bed, with your eyes getting heavy, and your breathing slowing down, then congratulations again. You didn't just survive medieval life. You outgrew it. So drift off now. The work is done. The day is over. And the 1300s are far, far behind you. Sleep well, time traveler. You've earned it.